What's up, everybody, and welcome to Hoarding Wombat Collectibles. My name is Tom, and today we have something a little different to open up with some random pre-release kits I got off of TCG Player for around $185 in total. They all have something a little special with them that's different than a regular pre-release kit. We'll discuss what is special with each one as I go through them, so let's get down to it and start opening. Editor, do the thing. We're going to save this one for last because that has actually something pretty fun in it. But this is also something I really wanted to open and kind of inspired the idea for this video. It's an M15 Hunt with Ambition core set M15 pre-release kit. So this is actually supposed to have the Garruk specialized Planeswalker card, which actually was used so you can actually play against Garruk, which is actually pretty fun. I thought it was really cool. And here it is. There we go. It's a little messy. It's not like totally held together very perfectly. But, and you kind of already see the pre-release card that's in there. But yeah, so we have Garruk the Slayer is what you get to fight against him. He has some wolf tokens that he creates. So if there's a way to play it, I have to read I think I have right here, Battle with Garruk. So it's a hunt bigger game, battle with Garruk. You can kind of goes through how to play it, what he does each time. I think you have to roll a die, and then it decides what loyalty points he uses, which I thought was a really cool, fun way to play, and I am going to try to play it by myself. I know that's lame, but I'm going to try to play it by myself because it's pretty fun. And then we have all the regular pre-release packs. I think this is actually a seeded pack for black, which is cool. And we have our pre-release card, which is already spoiled. I usually try to save these for like the middle of it, but that's already spoiled, so we have that over here. And it is Indulgent Tormentor. That is pretty cool. Little demon guy flying at the beginning of your upkeep. Draw a card unless opponent sacrifices a creature or pays through life. That is really cool. I think that might be actually worth something. But yeah, you got your little stamp in the corner over there for pre-release. So let's open this up and see what this seeded pack gives us. So as I said, it should be all black tokens, black cards. So we got Witch's Familiar. It's a decent frog card. Soul of Innistrad. Wow. I think I have one of these. I don't know if it's for M15, but that's pretty cool. That's awesome. Might Makes Right. Then we have Endless Obedience. Brawler's Plate. Decent equipment. Frost Links. Unmake the Graves. Midnight Guard. Satyr Wayfinder from Theros, which we'll open up later. Necromancer's Assistant. Rummaging Goblin. Rot Feaster Maggot. Mind Sculpt. Razorfoot Griffin. And Undergrowth Scavenger. It's a fungus horror. That's pretty cool. So that is the seeded pack, I guess. I guess it was supposed to be mostly black. I'm not really sure how that one works, but then you have also the little spin down die. It has M15 on there, which is pretty nice. And then we have the rest of our packs. I believe you get another 5 regular packs, which is pretty cool. One thing I am excited for in these, the M15 was big on slithers, and slivers also are in the possibly in the new set. I've been hearing something about that, so which is pretty cool. Slithers back in standard possibly. I've been hearing rumors about it, but I haven't seen any cards yet. But all right, here we go. Midnight Guard is our first. Void Snare. Clear a Path. Triplicate Spirits. Hunter's Ambush. Accursed Spirit. Sign in Blood. Radiant Fountain. That's pretty cool. Satyr Wayfinder again. Evolving Wilds, always nice to have. Paragon of Fierce Defiance, a human warrior. Other red creatures you control get +1/+1. That's pretty cool. Paragon of Gathering Mists. Other blue creatures you control get +1/+1. Congregate. This is one card that I when I first started, I used this all the time, and that was like in my Boros deck. That was like the only way I could like stay as good as everybody else that was playing. But Congregate, I love that card. Haunted Plate Mail. Nice. These are some pretty cool cards. I really like this. I'm glad. Haunted Plate Mail, and then we have regular planes. And then we have just an ad card for M15. All right, good pack so far. Let's keep going. All right, we have Peel from Reality. I think this was actually a decent card. For our common, Inferno Fist, Shadow Cloak Vampire, Charging Rhino, Raise the Alarm, Statute of Denial, Tyrant's Machine, Krenko's Enforcer. Intimidate was just a pretty cool mechanic. I liked Intimidate. And nice Krenko deck. Selfless Cathar, nice Human Cleric. I have a Cleric deck. I think I have it already in there. I have probably like 5 different ones of those. Hot Soup. That's pretty cool. I might put that into a little Goblin deck. Boonweaver Giant. Into the Void. Soul of Ravnica. So we have Soul of Ravnica. We have Soul of Innistrad. Maybe can we get every soul? That is pretty awesome. Lightning Strike. A foil Lightning Strike, which is pretty cool. And then we have a regular Forest. And then a Spirit Token with an ad on the back. All right, there we go. Next one. Go through these pretty quick. I don't. There's probably some like mixed lore in these because it's M15, so it's all over the place with the sets. But I don't really know a lot of the lore in all these. I'll go through it with the absent maybe. Wall of Fire. That is pretty cool. Defender Midnight Guard. Human Soldier. Void Snare. Pretty decent. Carrion Crow. Zombie Bird, Hunter's Ambush again, Selfless Cathar again, Chrono Stutter, that's pretty cool, Rummaging Goblin. I had this in like an artifact, some like red-blue artifact pre-con deck, and so was Bronze Sable. Bronze Sable is pretty decent. Or Rexos Swiftclaw. I had like also, I know this was big with, Dark Sealed Citadel. That is cooler than a Rexo Swiftclaw, sorry. Dark Sealed Citadel is awesome. I love this card. I don't know if it's actually worth a lot. It's an uncommon, but I just like, it's a great land to just throw in any deck. I mean, it's decent. Adding once, it only adds a common, just add colorless, but still pretty cool. Into the Void. Illusory Angel, a nice blue angel. Angel Illusion, that's pretty cool. And then Mercurial Pretender. Nice, a shapeshifter card. I think this is actually worth a little bit. I think I've seen this before. We have an island, and then we have another ad card. All right, 2 more packs left. Let's get through these ones. We got a lot to go through, so let's get through them all. Another Lightning Strike. This is probably on like Theros, that Lightning Strike. Razorfoot Griffin again. It has flying in first strike, but it's a pretty good amount to cast it. Destroy target creature can't be regenerated for Flesh to Dust. It's nice. Plummet, classic Plummet. Scrapyard Mongol was also in that. I think it was an M15 artifact, blue-red artifact deck. It's pretty cool. It was fun to play. It wasn't anything like powerful, but it was fun. Selfless Cathar. Encrust. I haven't seen this one yet. That's pretty cool. Goblin Rough Rider. Pillar of Light. Ornithopter. I love Ornithopter. That was probably in that deck. Just a nice 0 cost, 0/2. Always good for a nice artifact deck. Shrapnel Blast. Always good. Warden of Beyond. Human Wizard. That's pretty nice. Quickling. Fairy Rogue. Yisin the Wanderer Bard. That is pretty cool. I've never seen this card before. Legendary creature, so maybe we can make a commander out of it. Put a verse counter on Yisin the Wanderer Bard. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost equal to the number of verse counters on Yisin. Put it into the battlefield and shuffle your library. That seems like a very fun commander. I might do something with that. Then we also have an island, and then a soldier token, and just another card. There we go. All right, here we go. Last pack for M15. Let's get some slivers. I think there's slivers in this one. I think it was M15 and M14. There were some slivers. Foundry Street Denizen. We need the Ivy Street Denizen. That's what we wanted. Edited in another morning coffee cracks that you'll see earlier in the week. Heliod's Pilgrim. I don't know why I said Pyramid. Hunt the Weak, which is familiar again. Another big giant bullfrog. Pillar of Light. Hydro Surge. Goblin Rough Rider, Meditation Puzzle, Mind Sculpt, Blast Firebolt. Ulcerate. That's pretty cool. -3/-3 until end of turn, and you lose 3 life. Cherubi Merklurker. I had this card too. I always wanted to put it into a deck, and I never found a deck to really put it into. Paragon of the Internal Wilds. So I have 3 of the Paragons now for everything. That's pretty cool. And Waste Not. I think this is a decent card. This has been reprinted a bunch in Secret Lairs, but that is pretty cool. An original Waste Not. And then we have Plains, and then we have a zombie token. I love that zombie token. It's really cool. I like the different zombie tokens. I have a good amount of them. All right, and that's it for the M15. Next, I think we will do the Abzan pre-release kit, the Battle with Endurance. I just thought this was cool. I wanted to make kind of an Anafenza deck. This actually, I was just thinking about it now. This probably doesn't have Anafenza in it because it's from Fate Reforged. So didn't think about that, but it might have. Well, the cover of here, Dagatar. That's Dagatar right there. Kind of basically the one of the last cons, second to last con next to Rain. So this is a little reminder stuff. Kind of building an Abzan deck, but using the bolster mechanic. It says that's pretty cool. And then this is phase 1. Activate the shard. Sarkhan possesses an ancient Hedron shard and is connected to Ugin's life essence. Unlock the power. Manifest a card. Cast a spell. Okay, so this is kind of cool. This was like a little thing you could do during pre-release to kind of see if you can do all the things in the story. And I guess you get something when you send that in. I do see the pre-release card. I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to kind of hide it in these packs. So there we go. Now we got an Abzan pin. I think this is kind of why I wanted it. A little Abzan pin. I have a Boros pin. So this is a nice Abzan pin. 2 of my favorite types of clans and stuff. And then we have a Fate Reforged just brown poop dice, which is pretty cool. Fate Reforged poop dice. I do love these little guys. Now we'll open up these. Put this to the side over here. Throw this box away. Oh, that kind of showed up in my thing. I think it's actually a Cons of Tarkir in there and a Fate Reforged. So maybe we'll start with the Cons of Tarkir one. Maybe we can get Anafenza in this. I do already have an Anafenza, but I don't know, maybe another one. Let's see. I love how easy these packs are degraded, so there's easy to actually open them. It's nice. All right, we have Treasure Cruise, kind of a thing. I think it's in Pauper's Treasure Cruise is pretty good. Arrow Storm, Mardu Horde Chief, good card. Sorry if I didn't see those two. Glacial Stalker. This also has a morph mechanic as big in Fate Reforged. Dragon Scale Boon, decent card. Molting Snakeskin. Rakshasa's Secret. I guess I'll go through a little bit of ruler. I mean, this is the Rakshasas, obviously. In this timeline, I think the Rakshasas are working with Taigam. Taigam has some secrets that, some secret plans that he's trying to do against the other cons to get Salimgar back in power, but then he would get some sort of power out of it. But it does not work for his favor. So this is Rakshasa's Secret. The voice of Rakshasa is soft. Its breath sweet, but every word is a murmur of madness. But now I'm realizing, obviously, this is a Cons of Tarkir, so it wouldn't be Taigam. It would be Tassigur, I think. Oh no, it would be Sidisi, sorry. Mardu Banner is good. Naturalize. The remains of the ancient sky tyrants now feed the war-torn land. So obviously in Cons of Tarkir, all of the dragons are dead and extinct. Blossoming Sands. It's a beautiful artwork in this. Riverwheel Aerialus. This is a Riverwheel stronghold of the Jeskai. Briber's Purse. This is one thing I actually don't have. Victory certain. The price negotiable. That's pretty cool. Briber's Purse enters the battlefield with X gem counters on it. Remove a gem counter, and target creature can't attack or block this turn. That's cool. Abzan Falconeer. Decent card. I used it in kind of a pre-release. And Hardened Scales. That's the second time I've pulled Hardened Scales. Actually, we were doing a draft of Cons of Tarkir, and I pulled the Hardened Scales in that, and I made a nice little Abzan deck, which is pretty fun. Naga shed their scales. We wear ours with pride. Golrand, Dragonscale Captain. And then we have a Plains, an Abzan Plains, you can see, like the little area. And then we have a little Sibsig Zombie token, and then the back. All right, pretty cool. Won't spend too much time on these packs, as we do have a lot to get through. But maybe if I see some interesting lore, we'll go for there. Now we're on the Fate Reforged ones. So Sibsig Host, that's a decent zombie card. Sultai Skullkeeper, the Naga over there. Sandblast, Shifting Wastes, Jeskai Sage, Sultai Runemark, Frontier Mastodon, Alesha's Vanguard. That's pretty cool. An Orc Warrior kind of attacking over there. I do have kind of an Alesha deck. Defiant Ogre, it's like Alesha Warriors. Whisperer of the Wilds, pretty decent card for the teamer. Sudden Reclamation. Winds of Kalsisma, that's pretty cool. I got the Yeti in the back over here. Ward Scale Dragon. And Soul Flayer, that is cool. A demon, I guess. This is a Sultai demon, but he's in the mountains over here. That is really cool. I want to look at that. I think that might be kind of related to another card. There's a creature card with flying is exiled with Soul Flayer's Delve ability. Soul Flayer has flying. The same is true for First Strike, Double Strike, Death Touch, Hexproof, Indestructible, Lifelink, Trample. That is pretty cool. That is really fun. I want to use that. And then we have a foil Mardu Scout. That's pretty cool. And then a Scoured Barrens and just a regular token. All right, that is pretty awesome. We're getting some good cards on here. I don't know if they're worth anything, but I think from what I'm seeing, I think they are pretty good cards. Sandblast again, Jeskai Sage, Sultai Runemark, Grim Contest, fighting a little crocodile, pretty cool. Pressure Point, Even Skirmisher, Teamer Battle Range, Hunt the Weak, it's a nice card. Fierce Invocation, Teamer Runemark, I don't know if I have that yet. Meringue River Prowler, Break Through the Line, Valorant's Stance, and Sandstep Mastodon. That's pretty cool. It's a bolster mechanic, Reach. It's very expensive, but so it's probably not worth much. Tranquil Cove, and we have a Spirit Token and the Ugin. All right, let's get through. I'll go through this already. All right, we have Dragonscale General. So this should be the seeded pack that's mostly Abzan. We have Dragonscale General as our pre-release card, which is pretty fun. It's pre-release in foil. Pretty cool Mardu Abzan Warrior, which is nice. Then we have Abzan Banner, obviously. Then we have Sansep Citadel, which is nice. The main area for the Abzan. Abzan Charm. Merciless Executioner, which is this is a Krumar of the Abzan. That's pretty cool. He enjoys his work, for he sees only the worst Abzan criminals, those who betray their own kin. Abzan Battle Priest, that's really cool. I like that. I'm gonna put him in my deck. Formless Nurturing, Manifest. Manifest was a cool way to kind of make more worth it. Krumar Battlekin, Return to Earth, Abzan Guide. This looks like a cool card, but it is very clunky. Feral Krushock, Great Horn Krushock, Disowned Ancestor, Highland Game, and then we have Jungle Hollow, and then Hunt the Weak again. That's pretty cool. All right, cool. And now we have the last two Fate Reforged boosters. Let's open these up. I think we can get an Ugin in this, or that I don't know if we have Tomb of the Spirit Dragon is in this. I forgot which one of the Spirit Dragon lands. I want one of those. I definitely need them for. I wanted to make like an Ugin tribal deck, so let's see if we can get that. We have Soul Summons, Will of the Naga, Ancestral Vengeance, Cunning Strike, Abzan Runemark, Rakshasa's Disdain, Frontier Mastodon again, Defiant Ogre, Anok Guide, Alesha's Vanguard again, Pyrotechnics, it's pretty decent, Humble Defector, Rite of Undoing, that's pretty cool, summoning some Rakshasa, Palace Siege, I recognize this artwork definitely. This is kind of the original Sieges. You can either do Khans or Dragons instead of being a different. I think it's like you would be Abzan or you would be Mardu or something like that. This instead is you pick Khans or Dragons, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool that they added that into Tarkir Dragonstorm. And then we have Bloodfell Caves, and then we have a monk, which is pretty cool. Little monk token, and it's just an ad on the back. All right, last Fate Reforged, and then we get into Theros. All right, here we go. Arashin Cleric. Another Abzan card, Whisk Away. Got some Jeskai Dragons, Sibsig Host, Sultai Skullkeeper, Sandblast again, a lot of Sandblast, Jeskai Sage, Mardu Runemark, Formless Nurturing, Tassigur's Cruelty. It's Tassigur now. We're in the Fate Reforged, so makes sense that Tassigur's there. Temur Battle Rage, Mind Scour Dragon, Jeskai Dragon, Neutralizing Blast, or a Jutai Dragon, technically. Cash Defenses, Scroll of the Masters, nice. I don't know if this is a like crazy card, but it's pretty cool, putting a lore counter on Scroll of the Masters. I think this is from when basically, oh no, Narset is not alive at this point yet. This is just probably when I think Nat Lam goes and, oh no, Shun Yun goes and like hides this scroll, and that's basically supposed to be the Scroll of the Sage Eye, the Annals of the Sage Eye, just telling what happened during the Confall. So pretty cool. Rugged Highlands, and that is just another ad for Magic 2015, which we already opened, which is pretty fun. All right, so we'll put this guy away, and then we'll get to our next one. We have Path of Honor. So with this one for Theros, this is from the original Theros block. This, I think you were basically picking which path of the hero, which like god to follow almost. So this is obviously the white. So you would be following Heliod, Path of Honor. So deck archetypes, it kind of tells you which decks you can make with all of these Path of Honor things. But you're mostly going to be allied with white. Welcome here if you've chosen the Path of Honor. On Theros, you choose this path that is anointed by the light of sun. You are welcome in Meletis, a city-state of learning, law, and justice. Here, citizens pride themselves in great temples and to their gods, and the academies of learning, and the reverent army. Perhaps you devote yourself to martial discipline with the legion of soldiers, or you hold the multitudes of rapt attention as you speak in the open forum. You have devoted yourself to honor and welfare of the community. Cross under the great archway of the city, and throngs of the citizens will celebrate your arrival. The Oracle of the Great City. That's pretty fun. So that was pretty cool. Just another thing, kind of similar to this, to the Abzan. You have kind of like, I guess this is a questionnaire. The following cards is not a piece of night sky in this art, which is, I guess, is a little questionnaire, and then you send this to there, and you can get a Gift of the Gods, Theros launch weekend, choose your path that's today for pre-release, and then the Face of the Hydra, Theros game day. All right, cool. So that's a little cool pick. We will hide this one underneath, and we'll take some of these. Now you got Elspeth over here. This is I believe Thassa. We have the white aligned spin down die, white aligned. We'll take this and kind of throw it away over here. Now we have the Theros packs. All right, let's open it up. I believe this is Thassa, or there's, I think, there's another important merfolk. I'm not really up on the whole entire story of Theros and the original Theros block and everything. But we have Nylea's Presence, kind of enchant land stuff. There's a very big enchantments deck. I think Heroic was another mechanic in here. And Inspired, I don't know if Inspired was in this, maybe it was in a different Theros set. Fleet Feather Sandals, Demolish. I always just loved all these cards. They're very like, just Greek mythology is really cool. I don't know, I like Greek mythology. Afara's Warden, Ray of Dissolution, Wave Crash Triton, Merfolk Wizard, and yeah, it has the heroic mechanic whenever you cast a spell. Yeah, that targets it. Tap target creature and opponent controls. That creature doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So it's kind of just like you get something for casting a spell onto it. Annul, counter target artifact or enchantment. Titan's Strength. Yoked Ox. It's a yoked guy. Voyaging Satyr. Do like that one. Peak Eruption. Destroy target mountain. Peak Eruption deals 3 damage to that land's controller. This is definitely going in my Land Destroy deck. That is awesome. I will take that. Glare of Heresy. Exile target white permanent. That's pretty cool. Prowler's Helm. I love all the artifacts in here too. It's really fun. Reverent Hunter. Enters the battlefield. Put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to your devotion of green. I do love also the devotion mechanic. It's really fun. Kind of building stuff around a single color to get that devotion. But that's our rare Reverend Hunter. We have a nice forest. These lands also are very, like, the artwork is really nice of this. We have a Harpy token. That's cool. And then a little ad on the back. All right, let's get to the next one. Another, which again, I think is Thassa on this. Ooh, look at that. Get a little green merch. Battle-Wise Valor. Nice card. Nessian Asp. I think this is actually a really good card. For some reason, I was actually just talking to my friends about it. I think it does combo with something. I have to find out. That's pretty cool. Viper's Kiss. That's nice. Some snakes. Boulder Fall. Savage Surge. I'll probably do a lore video on Theros at some point. It's going to take a little while. Maybe if they go back to Theros, I'll do that whole thing that I did with Tarkir. Lost in a Labyrinth. Agent of Horizons. Fade into Antiquity. Satyr Rambler. Observant Esseliad. That's pretty cool. They did enchantment creatures in this with Bestow. So you can like bestow it onto a creature, or it's a creature itself if it's not attached to anything. Vanquish the Foul. Destroy target creature with power greater. Cutthroat Maneuver. Decorated Griffin. And Bident of Thassa. Nice. I think I have a Bident of Thassa from the list. But this is pretty cool. Bident of Thassa. Legend enchantment artifact. That's a really cool mechanic. Like enchantment artifacts and just special artifacts. Like, I don't know. I always love that. Trying to find like specialty artifacts and stuff. This is a swamp. Just regular swamp. And then a soldier token. And that ad on the other side. All right. Oh, wow. Okay. That fell off there. Glad I'm... Oh. Gotta hide that over there. Open it up later. Messenger's Speed. Mnemonic Wall. Cavalry Pegasus. Apollon Unicorn. I did like this. I eventually wanted to do like a unicorn deck too. I think there's a couple of green-white unicorns that are legendary for like a unicorn commander. Ray of Dissolution. Return Phalanx. Zombie Soldiers. Kind of a Demir zombies. This is like, I think they're like, they go back like once you're dead, like if you come back, you have like that golden mask on you, which is pretty cool. Lagona Band Elder. Lost in a Labyrinth. Farika's Cure. That's cool. Rage of Perforos. I do actually have a natural Perforos from Theros, which is pretty cool. Or is Born of the Gods. Maybe Born of the Gods, I'm not sure. Rescue from the Underworld. Gainsay. Warrior's Lesson. And then Prophet of Krufix. Nice. That's pretty cool. Untap all creatures and lands you control during each other player's untap step. That is pretty insane. You may cast creature cards as though they had flash. That is awesome. Just a regular island. And a soldier token and an ad. All right, let's get to the pre-release card. Let's see. This is just kind of actually a code for, I guess, Magic Online. Maybe. I don't know if it's for Magic Online or Arena, but if anyone wants that code, bring this hero card to game day event and help you defeat the challenge deck. So maybe you won't be able to be using that code anymore, but you do have the Protector token. That is pretty cool. And then we have Celestial Archon. That is pretty cool. I'm going to open that up. So hopefully, I would believe this is also a seeded pack mostly for white. But you have a Bestow creature. It's an Archon, Celestial Archon. Don't know much about this. I do like that the pre-release stamp is in like red. Kind of shows out there. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it shows out there. It's pretty cool. Ray of Dissolution. Heliod, god of the sun. That is so cool. I'm so glad we got at least one god on this. That is awesome that we got a god on. I don't know if this is like you automatically get Heliod, but that is really cool. I got a list card of this, or either a list card or a list card that's in Kaldheim. But this is awesome. I wanted to pull a natural one. That's cool. Coordinated Assault. Sentry of the Underworld. Evangel of Heliod, another human cleric. I kind of want to make like maybe I do have a cleric deck, and maybe I'll make like Heliod the commander, and then just have a bunch of enchantments and clerics. It'd be pretty cool. Thassa's Bounty, Feral Invocation, Last Breath, Persistent Chimera, Prescient Chimera, Lagona Band Elder, Read the Bones, Chosen by Heliod, Nessian Courser, Silent Artisan, Minotaur Skull Cleaver. I do have a Minotaur deck I've been trying to make. I don't really have enough to make it a great Minotaur deck, but I don't know. It's fun, at least. It's Rakdos Minotaurs. All right, now we have a just an Elspeth on here. When she was still alive on Theros, and then I think she dies in this block, and then she comes back in Theros Beyond Death. Ill-Tempered Cyclops. Nice Cyclops. I do have there's like one of the giant artifacts like Trojans is pretty cool. I want one of those. Guardians of Meletus, Cavern Lamped, Sedge Scorpion. That's a good card. Feral Invocation, Return Centaur, Zombie Centaur. That's pretty cool. Hopeful Eidolon, Enchantment Spirit, Fate Foretold, Portent of Betrayal, Defend the Hearth, a Crowan Hoplite, Sealock Monster. Nice, an octopus. That's cool. I wanted to make a sea monster deck with octopuses and stuff. Ordeal of Nyla. I loved using this card. I had it in like kind of my green stompy deck around this time. Bow of Nylea. Nice. This is another legendary enchantment artifact for Nylea, the god Nylea, which is really cool. Then we have a swamp. And then we have a little just 2014, Magic 2014 token. All right, we got the last pack in Theros, and then we will go to the battle for Zendikar. All right, here we go. All right, we have another Nessian Asp. There we go. We have a Bronze Sable, a Pharaoh's Warden, another human cleric, Sip of Hemlock. That's cool. Kind of like a murder on steroids, I guess. It's not really that great. Apollon Unicorn again, Ray of Dissolution, Yoked Ox again, Blood Toll Harpy. I don't know why that was so hard to say. Blood Toll Harpy, Benethic Giant. I did want to make like a red-green giant deck. Voyaging Satyr. Not blue, obviously, but red-green would be cool. Vanquish the Foul. Insatiable Harpy with Flying and Lifelink. Nessian Emissary, Enchantment Cat. And Agent of the Fates. I think this is a pretty decent card. It has Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Agent of Fates, each opponent sacrifices a creature. It's pretty cool. Then we have a nice, beautiful Plains. And then we have just a little ad token for Theros. Actually, I think I did buy a Journey to the Nyx bundle box. I might get, or fat pack. I might get a Theros one too and open it up on the channel. All right, that's it for Theros. All right, so now we're on to our last one. We will do Battle for Zendikar. Maybe I'll put this to the side over here. So again, this one, I forgot if I mentioned it before, but this one is supposed to be, you get to use this deck box, which is pretty cool. That's like kind of one of the first ones when they actually started making it so that you could use the pre-release deck box for a deck, which is pretty nice. But it also should contain the expedition cards, which were pretty cool. Ooh, and it's a shiny box too. Look how shiny it is. So that was it should contain the expedition cards. So we'll put that over there. We'll do the 4 of these, and then we'll do the expedition. We'll see if there's an expedition in there. What else do you get? Anything else in here? Nothing else, but that's a pretty nice box. It's got the gloss on it, so it's a little bit more protected. Obviously, it's not like a crazy box, but you could probably put a sleeved like 60 card in here maybe. But it's pretty nice. It's always fun to have that. I usually just put like whatever cards I have from the set in there. Just kind of how to build a sealed deck. Arrived on the plain of Zendikar. The moment you plant your feet, you will feel the land quake with the reverberations of war. This world is under attack. A massive army of monstrous Eldrazi spread across the plain, consuming the sweeping forests, devouring towering mountains, defacing the marvels of the land, and crushing its very soul, which was once wild, bewitching, and world-brimming with intense, powerful mana, has been reduced to a shell. If the Eldrazi are not stopped, they will obliterate both the land and its inhabitants. But Zendikar will not go quietly, nor will those who call the plain home. This is the land of survivors, the world that fights back. Now it is time to do battle. Battle for Zendikar. I think that's a Ulamog over there. And then, yeah, you get the nice little spin down. I do like the SIP symbol. It's really cool. It's a blue one. I would like maybe like green or red. I don't know why. I just feel like this one should go on a green or red. Maybe the green deck box or something. But all right, so we have Battle for Zendikar. Let's see if we can get an Expedition. That would be pretty cool. I have pulled an Expedition. I think it was a Zendikar Rising Collector booster, but I think you're like guaranteed an Expedition in one of those as the box topper. And then possibly in the actual Collector booster. All right, Altar's Reap is what we have first. Call of the Scions. We got an Eldrazi sorcery, or well, a devoid sorcery. Royal Mage's Trick. I haven't really opened much of this. I do have a Battle for Zendikar bundle box that I have to open. Swarm Surge, also another devoid sorcery. Fortified Rampart. Got this weird little guy trying to get up close to there. Nettle Drone. This is some awesome artworks in here. Cliffside Lookout. I did want to make kind of a core deck. I have Nahiri, a couple things of Nahiri. Like Nahiri the Planeswalker and stuff like that. For all of those, so it's kind of cool. I wanted to do a little core deck. It would be pretty cool. Outnumber, I guess it would be like red-white core deck, maybe. Valakut Invoker. Undo Greathorn has landfall in a lot of this, so obviously landfall is just pretty powerful, I feel like. Void Attendant, and it obviously has Eldrazi, so it's pretty cool. Grove Rumbler, another elemental. Do have a red-green, I think it's just red-green elemental deck with Omnath, which is pretty cool. Grave Rumbler, Cryptic Cruiser, Desolation Twin. Wow, okay, that's great. I think this was reprinted in Modern Horizons 3, maybe. But that is cool. 10 for 10/10. When you cast Desolation Twin, put a 10/10 colorless Eldrazi token onto the battlefield. That is insane. And then we have these full art lands, which are pretty nice. And then we have an Eldrazi Scion. It's pretty cool. All right, cool. Desolation Twin is pretty sweet. Definitely going in my Eldrazi deck. All right, next, Battle for Zendikar. I think you have don't know if that's Ob Nixilis. I think it is Ob Nixilis over here. Not 100% on the whole lore of Zendikar, but I think Ob Nixilis is here. Incubator Drone. Another Eldrazi Drone. Kalastria Healer. It's a Vampire Cleric ally. So there's vampires definitely on Zendikar. Vampires, cores, elves. But there's also like, this is like has an ally mechanic. I have actually General Tazri, who's like a good commander for allies. Ooh, sorry about that. Felidar Cub. Kozilek Sentinel. That's pretty cool. Eldrazi Drone. Complete Disregard, another devoid sorcery. Scour from Existence, exile target permanent. Tajuru Beastmaster. Wavewing Elemental, another landfall. This is a pretty nice looking Evolving Wilds. Rolling Thunder, it's pretty cool. Deathless Behemoth, nice little Eldrazi. Retreat to Valakut. Brood Butcher. That's pretty cool. Eldrazi Drone. I don't know if that's... I haven't heard much of this, so we'll see if that's pretty good. Snapping Gnarlid. And another plains. That's a cool plains. I like that. Full art plains. I do love the floral art lines in there. And then plant token, and then just a Friday Night Magic ad. All right, on to the next one. We got one more pack, well, 2 more packs, and then we'll go take a look at the pre-release card, which is pretty cool. Coral Helm Guide. This is nice. I think is there that fancy crab in this? I think there's a fancy crab in this. Merfolk, Myers Malice, Tajuru Stalwart, Elf Scout Ally, Volcanic Upheaval, destroy target land. Maybe I'll put that in my land destroy deck. Angelic Gift, Sandstone Bridge, Tajuru Beastmaster, Demon's Grasp, it's Ob Nixilis' hand. Take what solace you can in the knowledge that you will not be here to witness Zendikar's demise. It's pretty cool. Ob Nixilis just coming around, murdering people. Skyline Cascade, that's cool. Enters the battlefield tap. When Skyline enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls doesn't untap until the next controller's untap step, and you can pay for mana. That's pretty cool. Eldrazi Sky Spawner. Some beautiful arts with these Eldrazi. Expedition Envoy. Ulamog's Nullifier. Retreat to Hagra. Cinderglade, that is nice. Okay, so we have a Mountain Forest. It enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or more basic lands. This is a decent land. And then you have the Forest. And then an Eldrazi Scion. All right. One more pack before the pre-release card. Try not to reveal it. There we go. All right. Here we go. Incubator Drone. Nice Eldrazi Drone. Incubator Drone. Calistria Healer again. Reclaiming Vines. Nice. Belligerent Whiptail. Angelic Gift again. Spell Shrivel. Counterspell, and that's devoid of color. That's pretty cool. Complete Disregard again. Ruin Processor. Ulamog Eldrazi. Skyline Cascade again. Eyeless Watcher. Eldrazi Drone. Murasa Ranger. Human Warrior. Skyrider Elf. Blighted Fen. That's pretty cool. Add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or just add 1 mana to your mana pool. Sacrifice Blighted Fen. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. That's cool. Prism Array. Okay, so that's a 4-color enchantment. You can scry 3 if you pay 5 colors. Sorry. Prism Array enters the battlefield with a crystal counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. Remove a crystal counter from Prism Array and tap target creature. It's pretty decent. I don't know if I would be able to use it. It seems a little complicated. Not complicated, but I don't know if I would be able to use it in any decks that I have right now, but it's pretty cool. Then we have that Full Art Mountain. We have an Eldrazi Scion. All right, so let's take this out and put that over here, and we'll go for the pre-release card. Smothering Abomination. That is cool. We got our Devoid Eldrazi. It's a black card, but it's Devoid. Beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Whenever you sacrifice a creature, draw a card. Okay, maybe you can make a bunch of Eldrazi drones and then go from there. That'd be cool. All right, last 2 packs of the video. Let's see what we can get. Let's see if we can get an expedition. I don't know how rare the expeditions are, but I'm pretty sure you can get them in these packs. So let's see if we can get it. Clutch of Currents, Culling Drone, Giant Mantis, Anticipate, Lava Step Raider, Cliffside Lookout, Goblin Warpaint, Tandem Tactics, Vestige of Emrakul. That's a fun name. Courier Griffin, Firemantle Mage, Ulamog's Nullifier, Encircling Fissure. Let's see what our rare is. Ugin's Insight. Scry X, where X is the highest converted mana cost among permanents you control, then draw 3 cards. Maybe I could put this in Ugin deck, but then I'm going to have to make it somewhat blue. I have it as colorless right now, but I don't know. That's pretty cool. Ugin's Insight. Nice. Nice Full Art Swamp. I think we have every Full Art land now. Eldrazi Scion, and that's it. All right, last pack of the video. Let's see what we get. I know this is running a little bit long, this video. There's a lot to open, but I hope you enjoy it. I enjoyed going through these cards. I like all of these sets, so it's pretty fun. Salvage Drone, Swarm Surge. There we go. Call the Scions. Oh, this is like totally devoid, this whole pack. Merc Strider, Lava Step Raider, Cliffside Lookout, Goblin Warpaint, Tandem Tactics, Dominator Drone. That's pretty cool. Undo Champion, another Minotaur Warrior ally. Probably put that in my warrior deck. My Minotaur deck. 10 Transgress the Mind. That is an insane artwork. What the hell that thing's doing there? Serene Steward and Cryptic Cruiser, Drazi Processor, and Angelic Captain, Angel Ally. When it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other attacking ally. I can put that in my ally deck. Then we just have a regular Swamp and an Octopus token. I think that's cool, so I'm glad we got the Octopus token. But we didn't get an Expedition. But we did get a cool land. So there we go. That's pretty much it for this video. I think we got some really cool cards. I mean, we got some gods. We got some fun Eldrazi. We got Smothering Abomination, which is pretty cool. We got some gods in Theros pack. We got some decent cards. We got Hardened Scales, which is a decent card. And the M15, we have the Garrick the Slayer, which is pretty cool. I'm happy with what we got here. I don't think we made our money back, but it's all in good fun. So let me know what you think of this video. Let me know if you wanted me to open up more different pre-release packs. I do love having all of them. I kind of want to have one pre-release card from each set, which would be pretty cool. Some of them are pretty expensive, so I don't know if I'm going to go too far back in there. But yeah, I appreciate coming and hanging out, watching this video, and let me know what you think. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.